Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now, it was a busy weekend in Monaco for the stewards, but one penalty in particular has got people talking. Yes, it's that unsafe release, 5-second penalty and those 2 penalty points that were handed to Max Verstappen. Just a quick thing before we get going, I tend to record the debrief around Monday lunchtime because that just gives me a bit more time to dig a bit deeper into these things. However, for reasons I'm not going to bore you with now, I needed to record this week's debrief pretty much straight after the race reaction stream. Therefore, a lot of yesterday's video was based off reaction and why a lot of it was done from memory. It is also why there were a couple of errors in that video. As I said yesterday, I can only apologise for that, and I guess reassure you all that I'll do my best in future to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Not an excuse, but it is a reason. Anyway though, let's get back to the topic of this video. As I often do on a Tuesday after a race weekend, because apparently I have no life, I've gone back and had a look at the incident between Bottas and Verstappen again and read through all the FIA material about the incident and the reasons for their decision. Usually though, I don't tend to make videos about it, but there is something in this case that I missed, and if the internet is anything to go by, a lot of people missed it as well, and that's in relation to why Verstappen was given those 2 penalty points. So, I felt I ought to go over it in a quick-ish video and address my misunderstandings of the stewards' decision. If you haven't seen the incident, I'll give you a brief outline of what happened. Under the safety car, Bottas, Verstappen and Vettel all pitted together. The Finn was serviced by his mechanics and began making his way down the pit lane. Then Verstappen was released into the path of the Mercedes. The two made contact and the Red Bull moved up into second place. When I saw the incident the first time, I called it at 100% the team's fault and expected a penalty. However, when I found out during the race reaction stream that Max was given 2 penalty points, I was completely baffled and thought the decision was totally unjustified. That, though, was before I went through the stewards' press release, if you like. So here is what the release said about why the stewards awarded the penalty they did. And by the way, the one you will see on screen will say car 88, but that's obviously an error and they mean car 77 as in Valtteri Bottas. Car 33 was released when car 77 was well within the guide boards entering the fast lane. The stewards did note that the pit location of car 77 is within car 33's guide boards and that the release was extremely close. However, car 33 struck car 77 while continuing to move towards a fast lane and subsequently pulled ahead, gaining a sporting advantage following the contact. The stewards believe that although ahead at the time, the driver had the opportunity to avoid the contact, contributing to the unsafe release. The stewards considered this an unsafe release from a pit stop and gaining a sporting advantage and penalised the car 5 seconds. So, to clarify, the penalty and the points were awarded for the contact with Bottas, a collision which the stewards felt was avoidable and therefore contributed to it being unsafe, so not just for your standard unsafe release. I did say in yesterday's debrief that I felt the penalty was lenient as it wasn't in line with what we've seen previously when it comes to unsafe releases. I also felt at the time that 2 penalty points were complete nonsense, but that is because I thought they were given for a team error rather than a driver error. But if the stewards have found him guilty, if you like, of making avoidable contact, then those points are pretty consistent with what we've seen previously. I have watched the incident back multiple times today, probably too many really, and I still feel that the team have got to take a chunk of the blame. Verstappen reacts and leaves his pit box when the light goes green. That is every driver's job in that situation. They should not be second guessing. They react as they are supposed to, in my view, quickly and when told to go by the team. Verstappen does absolutely move across on Bottas, but we all know that those mirrors are just about completely useless, and if the mechanics struggle to see down the pit lane with the naked eye, then I'm pretty sure the drivers will struggle even more. In that situation, Verstappen is putting his trust in the team. Trust that they have released him safely and he is able to move into that fast lane. When I watch the replays at full speed, he does turn right into Bottas as he's pulling into that fast lane. But he also pulls left away from the Mercedes when contact is made. So looking at both sides of the argument, is it a case that he hasn't seen Bottas hit him and then reacted by pulling away once he's felt the contact and realised, hey, there's a car there? I'm almost certain there will be many differing views on this and I'll give mine in just a moment. Before that, though, there is a lot of talk about inconsistency with the stewards' decisions. Antonio Giovinazzi is an example thrown forward. He was given a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision, yet Verstappen was only given a 5-second penalty for colliding in the pit lane, putting mechanics and marshals at risk. Yes, I know the penalty is listed as an unsafe release and was given because Max contributed to that, but the fact it was awarded because he made, in the steward's eyes, avoidable contact is really as good as saying caused a collision. So that 5 seconds still feels very lenient in my personal opinion. I'm sure many of you will disagree. In relation to the 2 penalty points, however, because they were given due to that contact and not because of a team error, I now have to agree and say that's fair based on the stewards' findings. But there are a lot of people out there that think it should have been at least a drive-through, with some pointing out that other unsafe releases have been punished with stop-go penalties. The trouble is, the rule that Max was found in breach of, that's Article 28.13a, cars must not be released from a garage or pit stop in a position that could endanger pit lane personnel or another driver, does not carry a specific penalty. However, Article 28.13d, a rule that some are pointing at as an example, refers specifically to a car being released in an unsafe condition, so for example a wheel not being attached properly in a race, and it's that could see drivers hit with a 10-second stop-go penalty. So it is easy to see how some of the decision making from the stewards is often seen as inconsistent, but they do seem to be in line with the regulations, on this occasion at least. But anyway, let's wrap this up with my thoughts. I was not totally convinced that it was a deliberate move to hit Bottas. I mean, it was a deliberate move to turn right and into the fast lane because that's what he has to do. He can't just drive straight on through all the pit boxes in front of him, obviously. What I will say though is have a look at these pictures. They are not great quality, so I will err on the side of caution by saying that Max appears to be either looking in his mirrors or at Bottas. Again, appears to be. And those shots are before any contact is made, so he's not turned his head in reaction to any contact. As I've already said, the mirrors on those cars are next to useless, and so how much you can see is up for debate. But having watched the replay multiple times today and watched Max's head movement, I feel like he knew something was close and was putting the squeeze on. I don't for a second think his intention was to hit Bottas, I really don't. I feel like he was trying to make the fin blink first, if you like, and back out of it. The problem is, though, in a pit lane as narrow as Monaco, with team personnel, marshals, officials so close, it's a dangerous move. You'd get away with it in Bahrain because the pit lane is so wide, but not in Monaco. Now, of course, Verstappen was asked about it post-race and he said that he didn't know there was anyone next to me because they released me. I was just going, it was all getting a bit tight, we were ahead, but it was a shame that we touched. I couldn't see him. So the pictures we've just seen show Verstappen looking in his mirrors or at Bottas, but he's saying he didn't see him. By the way, actually, super quickly, I've seen some questioning why Bottas didn't get a penalty for backing Verstappen and Vettel up on pit entry. I'm not going to say too much on it in this video because I've not seen the data to show how much he slowed. All I know is that drivers are allowed to slow to a point, but as Lewis Hamilton found out in I think it was Bahrain 2017 and Sergei Sirotkin in France last year, you can't drive unnecessarily slowly or erratically on pit entry. Again, I honestly don't know what the stewards deem as unnecessarily slowly, but I will say it is highly unlikely that Bottas would have found himself in that incident with Verstappen if he just entered the pit lane normally. Then again, he would also likely have lost time in the double stack. I don't know, we might have a look at it in the podcast at the weekend. Finally though, as I've already said, we can't be 100% sure whether that contact was intentional or not. We also can't be 100% sure whether Max could see Bottas. All we have to go off are driver interviews and a few sketchy screen grabs, photos and replays. The only person who knows for sure what was going on in that moment is Max Verstappen. That is it then for this video, and as always they were just my thoughts and my opinions, but what are yours? Do you think the contact with Bottas was deliberate? Do you believe the penalty was too lenient? Or do you perhaps think that the penalties given were completely fair? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but in the meantime, you can follow me over on social media. The links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.